Revivals,
an original podcast
about unoriginality. Did I
I
mess it
feel
up?
no, we're thrown off because we don't have Nicole.
I know, yes. Yes, surprise, surprise. Nicole is not here today. It is just me and Eddie. And we've got a fun episode for you today. We are going to be covering some breaking news that happened this week. And we're going to be talking about CBS's new show, Watson, a reimagining of Dr. Watson's life without Sherlock Holmes. Does it work? We'll find out. But before we get into that, I have a question for you, Eddie. Do you want to cover the tragic news first, or do you want to cover the fun news first? What are you in the mood for?
Let's start with the passing.
All right, going right into it. The tragic news. Yes. So, as of today, recording, today is Wednesday, the 26th. You're probably listening to this on the 27th. But as of today, Michelle Trachtenberg was pronounced dead. She was 39. And yeah, this one kind of hit me a little hard because, I'm literally a year younger than her. And I kind of grew up with a lot of her in my media. She was not always the main character. Rarely was she the main character, but she was always there. Like Pete and Pete, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Harriet the Spy, and even Gossip Girl. I did watch Gossip Girl, and she was a big character. She even came back for the revival, right? She kind of like anchored this into like that world. So yeah, I was so disheartened when I saw that she passed away. Eddie, I don't know. How did you feel? Did you feel anything?
Oh yeah, super tragic. Very much. I mean, I know about Harriet the Spy and
Mm-hmm.
Gossip Girl,
Did
but
you ever watch Harry the Spy?
I've seen it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
cute film. I
yeah,
think that was the first movie I ever went to the movie theaters for.
but mostly related to her in her portrayal as Dawn, Buffy's
Mm-hmm.
sister, in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, a
So
pivotal character.
yes,
Uh,
yes, lot of um, great work on her part in that Dawn character because they really put that character through the ringer.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was very sad news, and she was a character I was hoping to see in the revival of Buffy
Yeah,
as that project is
that's
going underway.
yeah. So this kind of puts a wrench into the show. Maybe not, but like my main question is like, what happens now to the Buffy revival? Because I think when we watch these revivals, and this is a revival that's happening with Sarah Michelle Gellar potentially and Chloe Zhao. Uh, but one of the things about revivals is that we want to see the original cast in some form, some way. So in this case, a big character, her sister, is going to be missing from the show, and
Yeah.
it would suck that we just explained it off, but that might be what we have to do.
I mean, yeah, we don't know what they're going to focus on. I know the idea is to introduce a new Slayer
Mm-hmm.
and Buffy being the mentor to that Slayer. The thing too is that if it's happened before. Um, when we last see Dawn, Dawn is she's still a teenager
Mm-hmm.
too. So if they want to introduce an older character to take Dawn, take on that mantle, you
Are
know,
you suggesting a recasting?
no, I'm not.
Oh.
Well, I mean, it has been done before, and it's a possibility. I mean, depending on how what sources are they going to use? Are we picking up Buffy after the comic books? Those comic books that were supposedly are
Yeah, they're called season 8, right?
yeah, there's season 8 and 9, I think,
Season 8 and 9 say so.
and so they're supposedly canon to the Buffy universe. So if we're picking up, then yeah, Dawn does play a central role in the continuing of that story. So
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens. Like, it's a bummer that she is not going to be. It's sad that she passed away, but I think it's a bummer, at least for the podcast sake, that she's not going to be in a potential revival. This is one of the things I was looking forward to. I wanted to see like Dawn. I wanted to see Allison Hannigan again as Willow. Right, like these are the things I'm excited for. I don't think they're going to bring back Xander because I hear he's problematic, but yeah, like this is what I want in a revival, and it just reminds me of like few deaths hit me hard, like celebrity deaths, until like they hit kind of close to home, and like the other one that comes close to mind is Matthew Perry, because a
Oh
Friends
yeah.
revival is one that I would love to happen, and it's just not going to be the same without Chandler.
So it's interesting you say Matthew Perry because Luke Perry
That's another one. Yeah, that's another
hit
big death.
hit me very hard.
Mm-hmm.
Hit me very hard. Uh, being a big fan of 90210
Mm-hmm.
and loving him
Riverdale.
in Riverdale.
Yeah, yeah.
So
He was like the solid rock of like reality in
yeah,
that show.
and it's to see him pass that was, so yeah,
Yeah.
in some
So
ways,
yeah. Well, anyway, thoughts and prayers to Michelle Trachtenberg's
don't say that.
family.
I hate that.
Oh, I don't know what else to
Thoughts
say.
and prayers. No, just
I,
I mean, yeah, our hearts go out
yes,
in to, you know
to her
to
family.
our family
Yeah,
and
she was a New
you know
Yorker through and through.
and also just recognizing that we're all big fans and we
Yeah,
we would
it hit.
miss the potential that's been lost in her
Yeah,
passing.
I mean, like I said, this one hit very close to home. We're about the same age, so you know, can happen at any moment. But do you want to kick it off to some lighter news?
The new Harry Potter project.
The new Harry Potter project, indeed. Yes, John Lithgow has announced that he will be the Dumbledore in the new Harry Potter series. And let me tell you, when I saw that headline, I thought it was like, there's no way. This is fake news. This has to be like not real, right? And I kept checking all the sources. I was just like, nope, this seems legit. John Lithgow is going to be HBO Max's new Dumbledore. And I was elated because I am such a big John Lithgow fan. I think he is such a brilliant artist. He was one of the best things of Dexter of the entire series, right? He was there for only one season. He was the best thing about it. He was great in Pet Cemetery. I would argue probably one of the few things that worked in that remake.
Serious?
Uh,
I think a lot of things worked in that remake.
he was easily. I don't think a lot of things worked in that remake, but I think he was easily one of the anchors that made the movie bearable.
I disagree, but let's go back to that podcast another time. But no, I was actually I loved his portrayal of that character in Pet Cemetery. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
he
he
did
was great.
a great job and stuff like that. I've always kind of known him more for his comedy.
Third Rock from the Sun and Harry
Uh,
and the Hendersons.
yeah, stuff that he did, and he always kind of always plays this, comical role,
He's great in
some way or
comedy,
another.
but
Yeah,
he's so intense as an actor. Like when he gives you drama, he gives you drama.
but I'm actually excited about him taking on this role.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that he has that kind of like fatherly tenderness
Mm-hmm.
that gets portrayed by the Dumbledore character,
Mm-hmm.
and I think yeah, it's really weird. It's something that I don't feel like we need, but I, being a big fan of this franchise, I'm gonna eat it up anyway, you
Yeah,
know, and
I think a lot of people are going to be in that boat.
and
So
but yeah, struggling with like, yeah, but I, it's like it's what only been 20 years. Like,
mhm.
do we need it? But
Well, this is what John Lithgow has said. He said, it's going to define me for the last chapter of my life because he expects to be 87 by the time the series wraps up. So this is kind of like, I guess, his goodbye tour, right? Like, and I mean, A, he's going to be leaving a lot of money for his family, I'm sure, taking this role. But B, I don't know if this is the last role I would want to see John Lithgow in. I would want to see him in something a little meatier that isn't, like, because he's going to be compared to Richard Harris and Michael Gambon, right?
mhm.
Like, I don't know if that's how you want to go off because honestly, part of me still thinks a series version of Harry Potter I think it's going to be a flop. That's just my personal opinion.
Mm,
So I don't know. I am kind of worried that if this is how he's going to close his wonderful career, if this is going to like damage his reputation.
I don't think so.
All right, fine. I do have one question for you, and this is where we get to just ponder. Do you think that casting an American is like a big fu that Warner Brothers is giving J.K. Rowling, right? Because she was very staunch on the fact that she always wanted British actors to take on roles in Harry Potter, the predominant roles at least. And do you think that this is like their way of kind of taking her grip off of the franchise? You know, she's been toxic as of late, right? Like she has lost a lot of the respect of the fan base because of her very anti-trans rhetoric. So I don't know. Do you think that there's something to it in casting John Lithgow? Am I reading too much into it? What do you think?
I mean, I don't know. I really can't say whether it's about like, is it they're just open to the idea of like finding the best actors for these roles and not and deciding to like not stick with the whole British only actors
Mm-hmm.
for these. And um I yeah, I don't know if that's the intention or just recognizing like, hey, we have the freedom now to choose like a variety of the other stars from different parts of the world.
Yeah, like you know what? I guess we'll wait and see. But I am excited to see John Lithgow. I'm curious to see what he does. I wonder if this will like excite some of my friends who aren't necessarily like Potterheads, but they do love John Lithgow as an actor. It's just like, oh, I would love to see him just chew up a scene like in a long beard and a hat. You know, about talking to Harry Potter about puberty or something. You know, you know. Yeah, that is. I don't know, guys. Let us know your thoughts on John Lithgow as Dumbledore. Do you like it? Are you excited? Are you nervous? Let us know in the comments. And I think with that said, I think we're now ready to talk about what everyone came here for, I assume. CBS's Watson.
Watson,
Watson,
starring
yes. Morris Chestnut. Yeah, so Watson is an American television series created by Craig Sweeney, and it follows the life of John Watson 6 months after the death of his dear friend Sherlock Holmes at the hands of Dr. Moriarty. I think he's a doctor. And yeah, he's opened up a new practice in Philadelphia. And yeah, this is following the show is kind of
he's a professor
he's a professor and a doctor. He's like, you know, like
Professor
it's a
James Moriarty.
oh Moriarty is a professor. I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
Moriarty.
But no, I'm talking about Watson. Watson,
Watson.
he has a fellowship. It's a fellowship that he's opened up, right? At this hospital.
He's opened up a clinic. Yeah.
A clinic that also functions as a fellowship for these people that he's pulled in these other ranks. It basically it feels like a branded version of House. That would be the best way to explain it, right? It's a medical mystery show. It seems like each week there's going to be a new medical mystery that Watson has to solve. So, with that said, Eddie, I mean, what are your initial thoughts on the show?
Okay, so very interesting. Like, so it's a different twist. So you have elementary. Elementary
Mm-hmm.
was like more like detective crime
Mm-hmm.
procedural, and here we have no medical procedural.
Mm-hmm.
So it does feed into that whole like house, brilliant mind, these shows that stuff deal with like discovering, like dealing with the strange illness and
Mm-hmm.
kind of like
Like following the
um
clues.
yeah, and
Yeah.
exploring what's the mystery behind these illnesses.
And you could
uh
argue that House was a version of Sherlock, right? Like it was just a crotchety man solving mysteries. They were just medical mysteries.
yeah, yeah, so I was thinking about that too in the comparison on their style, because so both when you compare like Dr. House and Dr. Watson, they both have a team that they
Mm-hmm.
work off of,
Mm-hmm.
in the solve. So, uh, but House's method on his motivation on the team is very like very gruff, very aggressive, very like a lot of like you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
Yeah. And he
And
hates patience, which I
yeah,
love.
and so by doing that, it makes them explore other aspects of the skills. So it's like these doctors end up in House, these doctors end up becoming like detectives
Mm-hmm.
so they can impress House, so they can figure
Right.
this out, right? But the
Right.
opposite is happening with Watson. Dr. Watson is almost like a very like encouraging to his team. He's teaching them
Mm-hmm.
how to perceive the world differently now. Now that Watson, has learned so much from his experience with his buddy Sherlock,
Mm-hmm.
With Holmes, he's coming back and he's teaching them how to look at the world differently. And they're like, "We're not fucking detectives. We're just
Right.
we're doctors. You know, we went to
Right.
school to practice medicine, not to rummage through somebody's garbage to
Right.
figure out what's
Which
going on."
shockingly there's a lot of. So
Yeah,
this
and
this
so
show would
it's
lead me to believe that like this is what doctors do. They're just rummaging through our garbage to figure out what's wrong
what's
with
wrong with
us.
them, and this is what they end up doing, and they end up now. What I kind of I find this concept interesting is like the story of the person. So you have a dynamic duo, and something
Mm-hmm.
happens to one half of that duo,
Okay.
and then what's the person that's left has to kind of pick up their lives from it. So this is kind of like
Yes.
Dr. Watson's. He believes that Sherlock Holmes is dead. His buddy Sherlock Holmes is dead. He's suffering from like brain trauma. He has some
Mm-hmm.
brain trauma that, and he knows that it's not going to get better. It's just going to get worse. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
deteriorate through time. So he has decided, like, now I'm going to solve
Mm-hmm.
medical mysteries, and keep on doing that. And one of those things, they find out that Sherlock Holmes was a wealthy man, and he had already established for Dr. Watson that he's going to return to Pittsburgh, and he's going to
Oh,
have a
Pittsburgh.
clinic.
Okay.
He's going to have a clinic, and he's going to practice medicine.
Yeah. The name of the clinic. It's like
Holmes,
UHOP. I think University Hospital of I guess Pittsburgh.
yeah,
Okay, interesting.
yeah,
I remember that from like 'cause that's what the director kept calling UHOP.
yeah. I think
Here
it's
at
like it
UHOP.
was like the second episode
Mm-hmm.
that I realized that the clinic is actually connected to the hospital.
Yeah, yeah.
I
The
didn't like
architecture
realize. Yeah, like I didn't
it
realize
does
it.
drive me
Yeah,
crazy because I think it's irrational that like this entire space in this almost wing of the hospital is just dedicated to these five doctors. But it is. I do love the arc. I give me anything industrial and I will eat it up. Like it's just a gorgeous setting for an office. I think it's impractical, but it is gorgeous. Like I do love seeing like when they're working in the office. I'm just like this office turns me on.
yeah. This it's very interesting because it does have that very like this was like an old cathedral. Like I feel like it was like an old church of
Mm-hmm.
some sort that they gutted out and they put all these like little modern things, but
Well,
keeping the facade,
uh,
keeping a lot of the walls the same. But then you have like glass
mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
other
Well,
things.
yeah. For me, it reminds me more of like that game, Batman Arkham Knight. No, Gotham Knights. That's the one where like Batman dies and now the heroes kind of like picking up the pieces. But even then, like they work off the clock tower, which is like this gorgeous architecture. Gothic design building. So similar in that vein. I guess here's my question: are you a fan of like Sherlock Holmes and Holmes, like his stories? Like he has a devoted fan base, right? Like obviously these stories have been around for over a
Okay.
century now, since 1887. So we're
Written
looking at
by Sir Arthur Ignatius Conan Doyle, a British writer and physician.
mhm. Yeah, he wrote these stories of this famed detective and stuff. So the question here is like, were you a fan of Sherlock Holmes in any form?
I've seen Sherlock Holmes in a variety of different like adaptations,
Really?
and
Which ones?
well,
Did you see the one with Guy Ritchie, the one that who was it? Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law?
yes,
I never saw that one.
yes, I've seen those.
When did you see it
Um,
without me?
I think
Why are you watching things without me?
this is
Was that before we started
prehistory.
dating?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
This is BR before Rolando. Yes, I've seen I've seen stuff, and Sherlock Holmes get used in a lot of other shows too. The character itself,
Hmm.
in time travel shows and well, adapted in other shows.
Do you mean is that like your way of saying that he was a featured character in Doctor Who?
He probably was. I mean, I remember the episode, so don't quote me on that.
Apparently, the estate of Sir Arthur Doyle is very litigious, and they were very, very protective of their legal rights over the Sherlock Holmes thing. They even sued Netflix over like copyright infringement, even though Netflix kind of created the character of Enola Holmes,
Enola
um,
Holmes,
but
the little sister of Sherlock
of Sherlock
Holmes.
Holmes. And the reason you asked me about this, like, how could they sue if this was like if Sherlock Holmes was already in the public domain? All his stories are now in the public domain as of 2023, but like some of the initial work was already public domain prior to that. Uh, and the reason they sued was because they felt that some of the traits of Sherlock Holmes in the Enola Holmes movies were more present in the later stories, like him being caring, for example, and they feel that that's an infringement upon their IP. But the courts were just like, this is ludicrous, no. And they dismissed the case, meaning that maybe Netflix settled out of court. But I just wanted to say I was never a big fan of, I guess, Sherlock Holmes, to be honest. I've never seen the BBC show that all my students rave about. I fell asleep during Enola Holmes, right? That's how bored I was. And I never saw the Guy Ritchie films with you know Robert Downey Jr. So these 3 episodes of Watson were the most I have consumed of Sherlock Holmes's universe. And yeah, like, I mean, for me, what's so funny is I had just started watching House, I think last week, because I keep seeing YouTube clips of it on my
Yeah,
YouTube
yeah,
page. And
yeah.
so I was just like, let me check out this show finally. And I like it. And then I start off Watson, and the first episode is nearly identical to the pilot episode of House. And I was kind of just like, this is they if anyone should be suing for copyright infringement, it should be the creators of House suing Watson here, because I was kind of shocked. It was almost like the exact same storyline, not exactly, but it was like very very similar. And I find that to be wild and kind of just like, I don't know, dismissive. The only thing here that have, I have a lot of questions on this show outside of like the storyline. My main question is just like, why do we cast Randall Park as Moriarty? How do you feel about that casting? Because that would call me, when I saw him as Moriarty, I was just like, this is who we're making the big bad of the show. And it's not to say that I don't like Randall Park as an actor. I think he's a wonderful actor. But everything I
No, no,
associate
yeah,
him with
yeah,
is just friendly and
yeah, yeah,
funny.
yeah. So I,
This is
I,
a
I,
this is a big gamble.
I was surprised of the casting because that particular actor, I've known him for more for comedy,
Mm-hmm.
for playing the ultimate nice guy,
Mm-hmm.
or the hero, but the hero with the punchline. Um, so it doesn't it doesn't his he doesn't give me the EBGBs or the scaries
Mm-hmm.
the way I want my Moriarty character to be.
Yeah,
That's
I would
one.
agree.
I'm also it's like I'm also wondering, like, why did they introduce Moriarty so early,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like they really introduced a lot of elements that I usually think that these elements get introduced like either season finale of a show or
Or
much
the
later.
mid-season finale, at least.
Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
always wondering, like, what's, you know, if they bring it in now, like what's the reason to?
Right.
So I'm definitely gonna give the show a chance because I
Okay.
so far I'm enjoying these little mysteries, these little medical mysteries, and I'm also interested in the supporting cast too.
Okay.
His his little band of
Nerds.
geniuses
Yeah.
who are specialties and experts in their fields.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that he has a pair of identical twins,
Yes.
right? So there's that. Um,
And then they have a young lady who I think they're setting up that she's going to be like related to Holmes or Moriarty.
I don't think
That's just
so.
my take. I don't know.
I don't
Like
think so.
the one twin was just like, you're the one hire I can't figure out. You're a mystery, and they held on his shot. I'm just like,
Yeah,
okay, I get it. You're like related to Holmes or
it's
Moriarty.
possible. So
That's where they're gonna go.
so the twins are Stevens. So it's not Steven. It's Stevens
Like the
Croft.
university. Okay.
Yeah, Stevens, Doctor Stevens Croft,
Uh
and
huh.
Adam Croft. They're identical twins. They deal with more infectious diseases and functional medicine
Mm-hmm.
specialties,
Mm-hmm.
and you have, like, you have they're identical. That exactly look exactly alike, but you have that one twin that's more outgoing, that's always very talkative, and then you have the opposite, this one that's more reserved, more
Mm-hmm.
withdrawn, and like the workaholic.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems that they are there's a conflict in their relationship. There is a struggle. There is a, a rift between
Mm-hmm.
them,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems one twin, Adam, is now dating the other twin, Steven's ex fiance.
Lovely.
So there's
Isn't that how it
that
goes?
attention. Do I care? I don't really care about that. I
No.
don't.
Now,
I
how
don't
do you feel
care.
about the fact that like they're both being played by the same actor?
I don't. Hey, so I understand it. I
Do
really
you?
do.
I don't.
No, I understand. Like why? What you do this? I see this all the time. You
Mm-hmm.
see, like the one actor playing their twin.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you have a twin, you see that, right?
Right.
Why do I feel about it? In this particular case, I'm not happy about it. I was thinking it would be so interesting to cast identical twin actors and have them really give the genuine scenes of talking to their brother,
Mm-hmm.
and being portraying the nuances of like what it is to be identical twins.
Mm-hmm.
You look the same, but you have your own personality, and that fight for not being
Yeah, the fight for
that fight for
individuality.
having your own identity
Mm-hmm.
too.
Yeah.
So I mean I have my two little sisters are identical twins. So
That's right.
I've
Yes.
seen this growth in like one twin wanting more of their own personality separate, not wanting to dress exactly the same as her
Mm-hmm.
sister,
Mm-hmm.
wanting her own identity, wanting a different look, and having different, just seeing them like I've always been able to tell them apart, but I know people get confused on who's who, but I can see like their personalities, especially how their personalities are portrayed in their facial expressions,
Mm.
and I would just like to see that and like really, really in real life,
Yeah.
you
Like
know,
not CGI.
not CGI or
Yeah.
yeah, not like that whole thing of like yeah.
Mm-hmm. No,
So
I understand. Yeah.
I wanted, yeah. I was like, oh, when I found out it was the same actor, I was like, oh,
It's a gimmick that I don't know why. I personally am just like, why are we doing this? Can't we find actors that yeah, you think
save
it's because of
money.
the money. I
Yeah,
don't
save
know. Is
money.
it saving money?
Yeah,
Is it
I think it
because
is saving
you have to
money.
shoot twice as much, right? So you have to like reset, shoot again, and then see superimpose them together. So I don't know how much money
Yes.
that's saving, but who knows? Uh
And then so
yes.
so the person you were talking about is Dr. Even
Mhm.
Harlow,
Mhm.
and she's a neurologist. She's highly skilled.
Mhm.
And what we get early on really or is that Dr. Harlow may have psychopathic tendencies,
She's loca.
you know.
That's the clinical
Um
term.
and
Obviously.
and Dr. Watson calls her out on it, but she's like a pathological liar.
Mhm.
So she lies, but she lies about things that don't matter.
Right.
So she lies. She was like, "Said,
I
oh,
can
what do you have for
relate.
breakfast?" And she says, "Oh, I tried this great bagel place," but she
Has it? Yeah, I could tell. I mean, yeah, I relate to this character. She is my. I see her.
and
We are
and
the
she
same.
and you see there are scenes that where she when she's speaking when she has to give a presentation or something, or she knows that she has to like do a proposal, she inserts like make sure you smile here or make sure you keep eye contact here.
Right.
So
That's
there's
like the sign of a psychopath, I think, or something.
she definitely
Sociopath. I forget which one.
I don't think it's a sign of the reason that we know the reason that we're discovering that she may have these tendencies is one that there's a scene where she's looking she's looking at a book
Hmm.
and it has I think the
The
D
DMV5.
yeah, and she's looking through that, I think personality disorder,
DSM. DSM. I think DSM.
DSM.
Yeah.
So she's looking at that. Uh, there's a history of there's one scene where one of the episodes where you learn that um, a person that she was dating, they were up for the same kind of scholarship or fellowship,
Hmm.
and
Oh, right.
she
I remember.
called she called the she called the cops saying that he was driving drunk.
Hmm.
they pulled him over. They got arrested, and he lost the scholarship. He lost his scholarships
Yes.
as well as his fellowship,
Yeah.
or
I
this
remember
this
this.
funding or grant or something.
Right.
So he knows it's her. He knew it was her. He definitely suspects. He suspects it's her, but she seems to be a manipulator and player.
I mean,
She is
sometimes you
what
got
it
to
is.
do what you got to do to get ahead,
Yeah,
right?
she's definitely interesting. I do enjoy how this actress is really portraying her. I like her look. She has like
Really,
I
I
like the
don't
way
like
her
her
hair.
hair.
No, I
I
love
don't
her
like
hair.
her haircut.
I love her
Why?
haircut. I like there's something very, I don't know.
She's very
How do you
manic
say,
pixie.
like, if, like, she has this kind of like this beautiful viper kind of like movement that she, just I'm
Yeah.
very interested in
Okay.
her.
I still think she's going to be related to Dr. Holmes, who we have, by the way, not seen yet. All instances we've seen of him is in the shadows.
In visions and whose
Yeah.
hallucinations.
My question for you is like, do you think we're going to get? Do you? I mean, we could assume Dr. Holmes is going to come back, right? Like he's not dead.
I don't know. I hope not.
You hope not. I mean, Moriarty's alive.
Oh yeah, so there's a possibility that Dr. Holmes, didn't die, but in the fall, Moriarty survived. We thought he died, but he didn't die. Or what? Dr. Watson thought he died. Um, so I hope not, because I don't know. I just want to see Dr. Watson like really succeed in what he's doing. Just establish himself and not kind of not be in the shadows of Sherlock Holmes.
Which is interesting, right? Because that's, I think, one of my main concerns of the show. Does the question has to arise, right? Like, it's like, does a show of just Dr. Watson work without like his counterpart, the most famous one, Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah.
You think it does?
Wait, no. I'm like saying, yeah, I agree with
Oh,
you and your
that's a
thought
question.
process, but I don't know, and I want to see if it can, because I'm just thinking about like shows like these, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shows, but they're usually spin-offs. Usually
Mm-hmm.
spin-offs. So you had like an old show, Laverne and Shirley. I used to watch this religiously as a little kid. Laverne and
Yes.
Shirley.
Okay.
Shirley leaves
Uh-huh.
the show. The character leaves the show, and now you just have Laverne. The show is now Laverne,
Was it just
right?
called Laverne?
I think it's
I'm
just
not
called
familiar with.
Laverne.
I know Laverne and Shirley. I don't. I've never seen, so I
Yeah.
never
So it's
like.
now,
Okay.
and then now it's a story about Laverne dealing with her life after Shirley has gone off and gotten
Mm-hmm.
married. So you have this dynamic duo no longer being together,
Mm-hmm.
and now Laverne is on her own figuring shit out without the primary support that she had, or the partner in crime. And you have a similar thing, when they did that Joey show from Friends.
Mm-hmm.
Joey goes off. Remember
Yeah.
that?
Then it became Joey for 2 seasons, and
Yeah, and then
they were trying to make Frasier.
so it's just see like when characters leave their like primary relationships and
Mm-hmm.
now have to build their own life on their own.
Mm-hmm. Do you think casting a black man as Watson was just woke nonsense, or do you think it's just like just casting? And the reason I asked is because I was trying to see, like, unlike the Little Mermaid, right? I don't think many people know this show is airing. To be quite honest, it's a
Uh,
CBS show. I feel like people watch CBS for like NCIS, so maybe that audience is aware that Watson exists. But there was one person I did see complaining about casting a black man on the show, and my God, the comments page was absolutely deplorable, just absolutely filled with just racist hate, which is crazy, right? Like, it's just like, oh, this woke agenda, woke nonsense, blah blah blah. But it's just like, we've had a Watson that was an Asian woman before, so what are we talking? Like, this is not new. It's not like this is not groundbreaking, right? We did Lucy Liu has played Watson before in a version of Sherlock Holmes, right? In Elementary,
mhm.
which, by the way, the guy Sweeney who created this show was actually a writer on Elementary.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Crossover creative team.
yes, so I just want to point that out, but it's not a crossover, right? Because
No,
obviously,
not. I'm talking about the creative team.
yeah.
The creative team is.
So yeah, so I don't know. Like, do you think are they trying to say anything by casting a black man as Watson, or do you think it's just like, do you think it's stunt casting? Do you think it's just like they just cast the best man for the job?
First of all, I don't react to woke nonsense. I don't like that term at all. So,
Mm.
Um,
I got to
so
do it for the clicks because I'm probably going to use it as
I
a
know
social media bite.
I know you're doing that for the clicks. It drives me nuts. So
Engagement, baby.
I don't care. I absolutely don't care
Okay.
if they chose him because he's black. He's a black actor, or he's an actor. He's black. But I so far have enjoyed
Mm-hmm.
this. This is now a property it's a public domain property.
Mm-hmm.
So creative minds can take these characters and create new versions and um, new adaptations of take them to the future,
Mm-hmm.
and move change the sexuality or introduce a different gender for
Mm-hmm.
explore the possibilities of this creativity. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I at no point did his race matter to me while watching the show, right? Like he's just the best actor for the job. He took off his shirt in one of the episodes. I was just like, "Good lord."
yeah, he's
What?
ridiculous.
And then you told me, how old is he?
Oh my god, I think he's like 56.
What? God damn, like putting us all to shame. Like that body was rock hard, and I thought he was like, okay, cool, yeah, he's like a man
Yeah,
in
he's
his 40s,
56 years old.
early 40s, no big deal. It's just like he's in his mid 50s. This guy, Jesus,
Yes.
good for him.
Yeah, it looked amazing. I'm interested to see how where this show goes.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I take this back too. It does matter to me in a sense of like to see, uh,
Like a black neuroscience.
yeah, these things matter.
Mm-hmm.
These things to see people of color, black people, Latinos, uh, play roles where it's just like, oh, that's just a Spanish doctor. That's
Mm-hmm.
just a Latino doctor. No, he's a doctor. He happens to be a
Right.
Latino.
Right.
Uh, where what ethnicity is not per se the the primary thing up front, but people like me, people like like our community.
You could say
The,
like me too.
yeah, no, I'm saying like
Okay.
us,
Yeah.
people when people in our
Us.
communities, we want to see us represented
Yeah.
realistically. Not
Yeah.
everyone is a DEI hire,
Mm-hmm.
and if they are, it's not about lack of,
Mm-hmm.
but is what they could bring,
Yeah.
to the table, the
Yeah.
diversity that they could bring to the table. So yes,
Imagine they
very
cast.
very important too that his wife is like
That's right. She's
she
the medical director
the medical director,
of the hospital.
and possibly maybe
Bisexual.
bisexual
Mm-hmm.
too, and I'm all
Mm-hmm.
for it. I'm all for it. I'm looking forward to the future episodes and see what how they're gonna bring this together.
I want to see Moriarty. I want to see more of him. I'm so curious by this casting of Randall Park that I'm just like, okay, we got it for like a little bit. I need to see him more right now.
I definitely I don't feel like I needed to see him now. I didn't need to see it now. I think I could wait it, and if it was him, I don't know. Maybe he should have been in a suit. I don't know. I just
That's true. He was wearing
Moriarty
like a little
just
polo
feels.
shirt, like of his like
Yeah,
surveillance
yeah,
company.
yeah. Surveillance
It
company
was the
and
least
stuff.
intimidating thing I've seen
I
for a
know
Moriarty
it felt
character.
so, but the portrayal of Shimwell Johnson,
Uh huh. The gruff Irishman.
the way he was terrified, in that scene, even though he didn't meet him, it didn't seem like he met him before. He knows him, but he never met him. He never
Right.
seen him before because he says, "I expected someone else,"
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think we
Yeah.
all expected somebody else.
He spoke
Yeah,
for us all.
yeah, I think he expected somebody else. But there was the sheer terror. Like he was really portraying like fuck, like I'm in a situation and I can't get out of it. This
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. So your final thoughts is that you're going to keep watching the show, right?
Yeah, I'll keep
Okay.
watching it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably going to not continue this show. It didn't like it didn't hit for me, but it's one of those shows that like if you'll have on while I'm upstairs watching TV with you, it's just like okay, I'm not gonna make you turn it off. I'll see. It's just I do like a good medical mystery.
I
It's
do
just
like
like for
medical mysteries.
it's
I'm
just
a
like
big fan
I'm
of.
currently watching House, and it's just like House is already feeding me that.
Yeah, I went through House already, so
Yeah, I had not. So.
I would like to kind of see like this. Yeah, I like
Mhm.
them complaining that they have to be detectives. Like, oh, why are you making us do this?
Does solving medical mysteries have a profound effect on you? Are you into the show? Have you seen Watson? Are you interested in maybe following Watson? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to follow us on all the podcast apps. And if you are watching this now, thank you for sticking to the very end. And let us know your thoughts. We want to hear from you. So I don't know. I think that's it. That's all I have to say for the closer, right? I haven't done this solo since we started doing this like video format.
We're
So
not doing solo.
I oh whoops. Well, I meant like me as like the
Wow,
host.
thank you.
Oh.
I
Well,
miss Nicole too.
yeah. All right. Well, with that said, until next time.
Stay unoriginal.